Hi guys, so today I'm reviewing the fun little Suzuki Swift Sport. Now if you remember, alright, a bit of a history lesson. This was back I think in 2016 or 2017. Suzuki exited the Malaysian market. Why? Because they signed that agreement with Proton that led us to having the Ertiga in Malaysia. Now at that time the agreement I think was a bit more far-reaching than Proton just rebadging the Ertiga. Suzuki was actually going to give Proton, well, a couple of other models, but I think eventually negotiations fell through. It did not go beyond the Ertiga, but before that Suzuki committed its support to Proton by withdrawing from the Malaysian market altogether, all right, and handing over all the after-sales network, the sales and after-sales network, to Proton. So it was a time that, you know, if you're driving a Swift or an Alto, you know, you have to go to a Proton outlet to have your car serviced. But that's the past. Now Suzuki is under the stewardship of NASA in Malaysia, and their comeback model is this, the Swift Sport. Now, this is an all-new generation Swift Sport, and for the first time in its history, Suzuki is giving the Swift Sport with a turbocharged engine, because before this, the Swift Sport ran on a 1.6 NA. This one, 1.4 turbo, 140 horsepower, 230 Newton meters of torque. In overseas market, you have a 6-speed manual transmission, but in Malaysia, the standard offering is a 6-speed torque converter auto. So at best, this is what we would call, you know, a warmish hatch rather than a full-on hot hatch. But here's the thing, guys, 140 horsepower, 230 Newton meters of torque is driving less than 1 ton of curb weight. Even though the outputs are modest on paper, this thing is still properly fast on the road. It is an absolute hoot to drive. Now, don't go chasing any GTIs or Golf Rs, but this car, well, it gets up to speed pretty rapidly. Okay, now here's the thing with Suzuki cars that I've always liked. Before this, you know, last time when I tested the endless examples of the Swift, of the Kizashi, and even to a certain extent the Proton Ertiga, the cars have this, you know, there's an honest feeling about their cars that, well, yes, you look at the interior, you touch the plastic, knock here, knock there, it's all hard plastic, but you feel that, you know, hey, it's solid, it's well put together, the panel gaps are nicely aligned, decently aligned, but more importantly, all right, you feel that this is a car that, despite its you know, its relatively modest budget, it's obviously built to last. It's that you feel the underlying philosophy of Suzuki's construction is that they keep things simple, but they maximize the quality of that simplicity. Even though, yeah, it's just a few very modest looking car, but everything just feels well screwed together, and that impression is reinforced when you drive it. The mechanical refinement of Suzuki cars on the move is very, very good, right? It's like, you know, you feel that all the components of the engine, the drivetrain, the undercarriage, everything seems to be working together in harmony. It's like, you know, the engineers pay that attention to fine-tune every last screw, every last nut, every last bolt to ensure that each component gel with the adjacent one and work seamlessly. That feeling is still here in the Swift Sport, you know, like, and of course, now the first overall impression is that the engine, this is more than enough pace for you to hoot around in urban traffic lah. And as usual, Suzuki's ride and handling is, it just feels sorted. Now, because this is the Swift Sport, undeniably, the chassis has a sporty tune to it, and you can feel the suspension is set up to be firm, but it's not jarring. When you go over bumps, you go over potholes, you go over patches of road, all right, the chassis, the suspension moves and settles very quickly. It gives a convincing, you know, it what you call it, it settles down with a convincing thumb. So it's not a magic carpet ride, but it's you get that feeling that, you know, the suspension is telling you that don't worry, you felt that bump, but I got this, you know, it's fine, just go on to the next one, all is good. In a sense, this is a car that, you know, that it is very rich with feedback, with sensations, that, you know, there's so much feedback coming through the steering, coming through the seats, coming through the pedals. You know what this car is doing all the time. It is an absolute delight to drive, right? Even though it's not very, very fast, but when you want to squeeze through tight urban traffic, this is great. This is something that you know, that is nimble enough, agile enough to squeeze through tight corners. It has just enough point and shoot for you to cover that suddenly open gap, zop, and you are there. But at the same time, the way the car talks to you, the way the car reacts to your input, you always feel engaged driving it. It just feels, you know, everything just feels so well screwed together, so well put together. It's just, yeah, it's just such a delightful car to drive. Okay, so now entering the highway, let's see how it fares in the open road. So I just cleared the NKVE toll. Now turning off to Setia Alam. Now here's a sweeping bend. The chassis balance is nice, that, you know, you can take these high-speed bends with great confidence. Okay, so bringing it up to speed in the highways, also it is a relatively effortless task, but you know, you can feel that there's a bit more noise coming in. So Suzuki obviously they skimmed a bit in the noise insulation package, but when you listen to it properly, you know, the noise comes more from the tires. The mechanical bits of the car is it feels ever so smooth. So there's a bit of wind noise coming from the pillars, but hey, what do you expect, man? Entirely acceptable. So now I've got an open stretch of road, alright, and I pull it. So the highway has a bit of undulations, and you feel it, okay? But it's, once again, it's not jarring. And of course, I'm now having to raise the volume of my voice to counter the wind noise. But as I mentioned earlier, it's more wind noise and road noise than it is mechanical noise. So to be honest, at speed, this car feels more excitable than it is planted stable. But then again, it is still, such is the amount of communication that comes through the chassis. You know, you are never left feeling nervous about what this car is about to do. You know what is coming next. I'm pretty sure this car will be an absolute hoot to drive on, you know, Uluyam roads or on Genting. But out on the highways, yeah, the small capacity nature of its engine shows. It's such a fun and darty chassis to just, you know, point and honest, you know, driving this car around really it's, you know, it's sheer delight. This car is just sheer delight.
When I switched to Pro mileage, in my case, I got 46-47% of savings for that car.
Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper, a lot less.
Turn up!
Okay guys, so let's check out the Swift Sport on the outside. Okay, so styling wise, this is a big departure from the two preceding generations of the Swift. But once you come here, you see, hey, that familiar silhouette is preserved, because you see, the thing is that Suzuki, with the ZC31 generation Swift, it was such a success that, you know, they found it difficult to depart from that template. So this latest one, this is the, you know, the most radical departure from that original template. And well, I have to say personally, I'm still getting used to the new design, the new treatment. But it's a bold move, and I think it's something that they had to do it eventually. I mean, they can't stick with that design forever lah, let's put it that way. So let's start, you know, by looking into the details from the front. Now, these headlights, LED projector headlights, and you can see these patterns here, all right, to give the headlight a bit more character. There's this carbon fiber look finish here on the number plate holder here, and also this front lip here as well. So honeycomb like design on the front grille. Overall, well, a much more expressive front end. There's a bit more of a face to this than they had with the previous two models. With the previous two Swifts, the headlights had a bit of a longish shape. So this one here, the side, this length here is still preserved, but they've made it wider. So there's a bit more of a it looks more like an eye. So it gives this new generation Swift a bit more of a face, okay, to the front end. Now, well, you can see the treatment, the pillar treatment, the black pillar treatment from before is preserved here as well. They've moved the door handle from here to the hidden position, like what Honda did with the HR-V and a few other cars. Okay, now the wheels are quite conservatively sized, 16 inches by today's standards. So that I would say it's I think many owners would probably want to upsize them to 17s, but my experience driving them with the 16s, there's a very nice balanced feel to the car, and I would highly urge that, you know, those of you guys, if you buy this, to keep the 16-inch wheels for as long as possible and enjoy the balanced ride and handling. So you see, you have the side skirts here as well, also finished with this carbon fiber treatment. Okay, you've got keyless entry. All right, so it's a button type keyless entry. All right, lock and unlock by pressing the button. And here's the good news, you got it on the passenger side as well, so that is a very nice touch. And a quick note here, the windshield wipers is integrated into the wiper arm cover, so that's another plus point. Come to the back. Now the tail lights from the side, this shape of tail lights has been familiar with the Swift for the last 2 generations, but when you come here again, you see that there's added width given to the lights, and there's almost like a resemblance to the previous generation A-Class. But check this out, guys. When you look at it from here, you see that Suzuki has given the Swift a much more pronounced shoulder. There's, you know, a bit of flaring of this panel here and in this way as well. So from the rear, the Swift now suddenly looks like, you know, if you compare it with its 2 immediate predecessors, it looks like this car now looks like it's on steroids. The lower diffuser treatment, okay, also has the carbon fiber treatment here as well. All right, so that's on the design. And also they have 4 parking sensors at the rear. Let's open the boot. Well, even if you consider this from hatchback standards, not particularly big. You've got a hook here. All right, so inside here, that's where they keep the jack. Very, very modestly sized boot. So we've got a space saver spare here, 1 check-in luggage at most. All right, or you can put 2 or 3 carry-on bags. Grab handles for both left-handers and right-handers. As you can see here as well, the lock and unlock, there's a keyless entry button there as well. So if you lock this, you press one side this is the side to open it, and there's the button here you press to lock the car. All right, so it's locked. Okay, so let's open the door. Now you've got fabric seats, and let's try and fold the seat back first. Okay, so it's a step, okay, when you fold the seats. So this is quite flat, actually this surface is quite flat, but there's a step, and Suzuki did not provide the option of allowing you to raise this boot floor so that you can have a level loading floor. So that's a bit of a misstep. But the closing mechanism is solid. There is no recline adjustment, but that's fine. Okay, got the ISOFIX mounts here. Fabric feels good. They come inside here. No seat pocket here, but there's one on this side. There's a cup holder, a single cup holder here, another bottle holder here, the door card. The whole door card is, well, it's just one sea of hard black plastic. Well, space wise it's good. Okay, the driver's seat is adjusted to my seating position. I've got good leg room. Okay, lean angle, you can't adjust the lean, but it's not too upright. The adjustable headrest here, so for a nice height, I'm 170 centimeters tall, so headroom is actually rather good. Well, and there you go. So my legs, okay lah, thigh support is okay, not fantastic, but entirely acceptable in the context of this segment. They have put this little insert here to break the monotony of this whole black floor. But look at this. This now here as a fabric insert, but this one here does not. Okay, the door pocket here is of a good decent length. Okay, relatively simple, no nonsense cabin. We've got metal pedals here, engine start stop button, and yeah, so you've got this red black trim inserts here. There's a central touchscreen, which we'll get into later. Okay, a simple no nonsense 2-dial instrument cluster. Okay, this is rather traditional, nice combination of red and white colors. We've got a central MID, which you can change the displays here. Press this button to cycle between the various displays. Yeah, this is the climate control portion. So fan speed, temperature control, display. This is just a display off mode, AC on off, and this is the recirculation. Now the tactile feel of these rotary knobs, very nice. Okay, so you can tell that they've invested the effort to make this feel of quality, and I applaud Suzuki for that. This space here, this tray here, nice enough to drop a mobile phone, two rather smallish cup holders, but you can still drop objects here. Now here you've got a 12-volt socket, USB port, aux jack. Here, well, once you drop the handbrake lever, okay, so there's just barely enough space for you to, I don't know, maybe just put your parking cards here. These two obviously are dummy switches for some features that are not available here in our market. A bit of a waste that this is not given a bit of a rising center armrest, but this is typical, small car construction where the center console lies rather low. The sport seats, so with good side bolsters here, very nice quality of fabric. I like this fabric a lot. Okay, and here's the glove box. Now we come to this one. This is the central touch screen. So you have 4 quadrants. This is the radio. This side is your entertainment system. You have radio, or you have the media access. This is your phone, so you can have either phone mirroring, or you can have Bluetooth. All right, no problem. This is a touch screen. Why don't you just blank that off? All right. Okay, so you have the radio and you have the phone. This is to connect your phone to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now I do have one complaint regarding this unit. So you also have voice control.
Please say a command.
Which I can tell you, it's not very intuitive. You cannot use this voice control to get your radio set up, to get your radio frequencies. So that's a bit of a waste.
Speech recognition.
Yeah. And the other thing is that what really caught me by surprise last night when I was driving this, there was no auto dimming when the lights switched on. So you see, the thing is this is a bright screen, okay, and this car also has auto headlights. But what surprised me was that when I was driving at night, the instrument cluster as well as this touchscreen did not auto dim. So it was a bit glaring, and I have to manually dive into this, go into this display and adjust the brightness, and then I have to go to here to change the brightness. Overall, relatively simple, no nonsense cabin. You've got pedal shifters here for the 6-speed automatic. Here's the control for the Bluetooth phone. All right, and yeah, so no nonsense. Okay, materials not plush to be honest, but feels solid, feels well constructed. So to sum up the Swift Sport here, this car from a mechanical standpoint is absolutely delightful. It just puts endless smiles on your face. It's such a fun car to potter around in, and what I really like is that it has that feeling of mechanical crispness that you don't get in many cars these days. You really feel that the engineers have spent every last second, every last minute of effort to fine-tune the car's mechanical refinement. You feel that this car's mechanical homework, is very, very thorough. It's the sensation of driving this car reminds me of another Japanese car maker whose name starts with an S, and I'm of course talking about Subaru, which also gives you that feeling that they have polished every last screw, every last bolt to ensure that the car works in absolute perfect mechanical harmony. At this stage, you probably realize that why am I using the word mechanical so many times? And the reason being is because it feels like they have spent all their money, all their effort on the engine, on the drivetrain, on the underpinnings, that there was nothing left for the interior. There's nothing left for the design. Because, put it this way, the Swift Sport here is good. It's very nice. It's a very nice car. It's a very good car. But is it 140,000 ringgit good? I honestly struggle to give you a yes, despite the fact that I like this car a lot. Because when you look, when you touch and feel your surroundings, you really struggle to justify how is it that you paid more money than a Civic and ended up with a little hatchback that with a build quality that is no better than a Pro Duo Mighty. It is very, very difficult to justify. For this car to justify 140,000 ringgit, you know, you've got to up the presentation a little. I mean, the selection of materials in the cabin has to be a bit more premium. There has to be a bit more imagination to the design, and that kind of thing. Because this car feels like you could have sent this car 10 years back in time to 2011. That's the verdict on the Swift here. I love the way it drives. I love driving